Hi, I'm Sandhya Ranganathan, and welcome to the first episode of my YouTube channel, Writing with Sandhya. I'm quite excited about this. I have written Mia Finds a Home, an illustrated children's book illustrated by Piali, and I'm the co author of my father's autobiography, Burma to Bangalore. His name is Lieutenant Colonel V.S. Ranganathan, and I'll talk a little bit more about these books later. But I have published these books. I'm not a famous author, but a lot of people ask me about writing, about books. So I thought I'll start a channel and share what I know and probably learn also a lot along the way. So if you have any specific questions as we go along, feel free to ask. I will have a weekly episode and I will try and answer all your questions. So, how did it begin for me? I think I was 10 years old when I got my first Enid Blyton book. I remember it was famous Five Get Into a Fix. And since then, I was hooked onto books, all the Enid Blytons, but I liked all the mystery books better, the ones with Fatty and the Five Find Outers. I think those who are in India or some of the other parts of the world have also grown up with Enid Blyton books. Do share which is your favorite author growing up, a children's author, and what books you liked. So I just loved books. Before that, I used to read comics, and I really loved comics as well. So that was a genre, visual as well as text that I really enjoyed. And then I read R.K. Narayan, so Malgudi Days, and I was like, wow, we have great writers in India as well. I read Tagore, and he's my all-time favorite. In addition, I also I'm a big fan of P.G. Woodhouse. I think a lot of us are fans of P.G. Woodhouse and Jeeves, and so humor is my favorite genre. I enjoy reading those books. So for me, I was, growing up, I always had my head stuck in a book. Summer holidays, all my cousins would be playing, but I would be sitting in a corner reading a book. So it was my love of reading, and there was no question in my mind that, okay, when I grow up, I'm going to write, right? That was the only thing that I really enjoyed, words, and I was just fascinated by it, and I could just, went into a different world, a whole world of imagination, and I thought, this is wonderful. This is where I want to be. So that was my motivation for writing a book. However, it took many years for me to actually achieve that. When I was turning 50, I was like, hey, what about my dreams and ambitions? I haven't yet written a book. And so I started writing this as a bedtime story for my daughter. Mia Finds a Home. So I have a cat called Mia, and it was just a little story about how I brought her home, and Piali created these beautiful illustrations. And we just went ahead, and Kindle had just coming into India. We were just experimenting. How does this work? How does this work? And before we knew it, we were published, right? So I was glad that okay, before I turn 50, I have at least published this book. I was writing my fiction novel along the way for many, very many years. So it's, I think I started in 2006, and it's only this year, just now, that I've got a contract for it, and it should be out next year. So that took a long time, right? 16, 17 years in the making. Um, and then this was not something that I really planned. My father was writing his memoir, Burma to Bangalore, and there were just such lovely stories in it that I wanted to write it in a way that it's accessible to everybody, to a wide genre of people, and I helped him, write the stories. And that got published last year. So it's not easy. It's not easy to write a book. I have along the way in the years there were so many ideas that I had, and there were so many books that I started writing. But many of them wouldn't go beyond chapter three, right? I would have a structure. Then I sometimes had characters, but then it's the plot and sustaining it, and and it does require a lot of time and effort and mental focus, and which once I started working, that became difficult. I would get it in fits and starts, and traveling to different places, and when my daughter came into my life, and then it was for 5 years, yeah, all that writing just stopped. So it isn't easy writing a book, but I think they say that everyone has a book in them. Everyone has a story to tell, something to share, some skills that you'd like to share with the world that you can write about. I think one thing that I would like you to consider is yes, definitely do share what you want with the world. And there is someone out there to read it, or, um, it's still, if it's just a burning desire in you that you need to do it, you are an artist, you're a creator, just go ahead and create. Don't worry about the audience and the market, all of that will come. But should you write a book? So that's something which I would like you to consider. For me, in my mind, I always thought, okay, I'm going to write a book. And that actually hung me up so much that I never did, I never tried to blog much, or, send an article to a magazine for publishing. I used to write poems, but I never sent it anywhere. And now I'm wondering why I didn't do all of that, right? So I would say that, firstly, just start writing. There are so many platforms and medium available now. You can just start blogging online. You can just vlog like this. There are a lot of newsletters, magazines, in print as well as online, which are where you can send your writing for publishing. So just do that. Just keep writing. Writing gets better with practice. Even if you have a creative streak in you, I think practice really makes it perfect. So if for nothing else, it will perfect it. But also for building a portfolio along the way, and understanding what is your medium, what is your genre. So are you more? Do you enjoy more of short stories? Are you more of a poet? Does blogging, help you just get your voice out into the world? Maybe it's not about writing in words after all, but maybe it's on YouTube, and you can just share your story. Maybe you can just, it could be a graphic novel, or you just want to draw or sketch. So think about it. Think about how you want to get your voice out into the world, because now, unlike, let's say, 40 years ago, or 50 years ago, there are a lot of other mediums, a lot of other ways in which you can get your voice out quickly. And also, maybe that best serves a purpose. If you have a specific audience in mind, consider that as well. Like, what's the best way to get your message or what you want to say out to those folks. If it is something which is technical, or educational or academic, who's your audience? Are they young? Are they old? Where do they consume the information? Try and find that out, and get right in a way in which it reaches them. So that way you get much better, a wider reach than what you have. If you're just writing for your own, to express your own creativity, think about what is it that you enjoy the most. I kept thinking all along that I can't write short stories. That seemed it's like, wow, you have to have a beginning, middle, and end all within a short span, and you have to build the characters and everything. And I never attempted it. But recently, when I tried writing it, I was like, hey, this is fun, and this is something I can put together quickly as well. And what about blogging? The whole online world is out there. So that's the easiest way to start writing, just get out there, get your voice out, share it with your friends and family and maybe a larger audience. And it's a way of testing the waters. Like, is there a larger audience for your words? So as I mentioned, I never blogged, but I used to get a lot of questions on how I adopted my daughter. So I'm a single mom. I've adopted my baby girl when she was 2 months old, and now she's 11 years old and thriving. And I used to get questions about how I adopted her. So it was, I used to keep repeating the same story. So I started blogging about how I adopted her. And then I saw that so many people, kind of followed it. It resonated with a few who reached out, and it really made an impact. So I was like, okay, why didn't I do this before? I also blog a little bit professionally, and I should continue doing that, more seriously, I think, and come out with more regular blogs. But my point is, think about what you want to write, and how you want to write it, and we'll explore all of this as we go along this journey. um, you can write whatever you like, but it's good to even understand a little bit about what are the different genres, maybe some of the mechanics of writing. Why not? Why not? And of course, there are lots more formal classes and schools and techniques and all of that. But what I thought I'll share is what I've learned, what worked for me, and also, it's helpful to get just some quick best practices and tips that will help you get started. So, are you along for the ride? I'm excited. I hope to see a lot of you write, and do write to me. Let me know what you want to write, what your questions are, and me see you again next week. That's it for now. Thanks. Bye.